Hello and thank you for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. I'm Jurnee Taylor and here's a look at some of the top stories we're following today. Israel announces new steps to allow more aid into Gaza as Palestinians face a growing humanitarian crisis. Now, new video evidence shows the impact the war is having on civilians in the area. Plus, Ukraine's president returns to Washington to make the case for more funding to fight Russia, sparking a fight over funding on Capitol Hill. And with the flip of a switch, Pulaski County officials celebrate the launch of a new solar array in the Little Rock port, saving the county tens of thousands yearly. Now we have more on those headlines soon, but first a look at weather. We are joined by meteorologist Simone Thomas again today. Simone, it's looking to be another nice day out, chilly but nice.
Yeah, that's right, Jurnee. We started out the morning pretty cold across central Arkansas. Believe it or not, actually not even as cold as where we started yesterday, but still quite a few places dipped below the freezing line overnight. So here's a look at where everybody started the morning. 32 exactly is where we got as low in the capital city. Conway got down to 28. Hot Springs got down to 30. At this point, though, we've seen temperatures starting to warm up into more of the 50s. We do have some extra cloud cover in place today. 58 is the current in the capital city, looking to reach more of the lower 60s this afternoon with the continued partly cloudy to partly sunny skies. I'll have a look over the next several days in your full forecast, so make sure you stick around.
All right, Simone, thank you. Well, brand new information this noon hour about what happened before a Little Rock police officer shot and killed a suspect yesterday afternoon. It happened around 3 p.m. after officers arrived at the Days Inn off of Interstate 30 for reports of shots fired. Now, both officers involved are on administrative leave. We do have THV 11's Ian Russell, and he's been following this for us. He joins us now with more. Ian?
Hey, good afternoon, Jurnee. Well, I can tell you we didn't learn a lot about this man that died yesterday, but we do know a bit more about the timeline of events that led up to that encounter with LRPD. Now, Chief Heath Helton says they got that call for shots fired just after 3 yesterday afternoon. The caller told dispatchers they heard, quote, 4 to 5 shots fired. The chief says the caller described the person doing that as a black male wearing a black sweatshirt and black pants. He says a few minutes later, another call came in, this time telling dispatch the man fired into a hotel room. Helton says 3 minutes after that, the first officer arrived on scene and almost immediately found a person matching the description they'd been provided. He says officers verbally told the man to comply, and they say he didn't. Helton says the man then reached into his waistband, pulling what they determined to be a handgun. Officers then shot the man. They gave him medical aid until he was transported to the hospital, where he later died from those injuries. Now, one thing we don't know yet, exactly what officers saw to make them fire their weapons. You said when they got there, officers saw him reach into his waistband. Is there any sort of video evidence to back up him pointing the weapon at them?
We're analyzing all of our body cam footage and then hotel footage as well.
So again, still a lot of information we're waiting to learn here. We still don't know the name of that man who was shot and killed, and we don't know the names of the officers involved in this either. Chief Helton says they're hoping to get more information out in the next 24 hours. Of course, we'll keep you updated when we learn more. Jurnee?
All right, Ian, thank you. Well, as recovery continues in Tennessee, a group of volunteers make their way to help with the emergency response following last weekend's deadly tornadoes. The Arkansas-based Sheepdog Impact Assistance Group departed this morning from Rogers, headed to Clarksville, Tennessee, one of the hardest hit cities. As for the work they'll be doing, Director Jeff Watt says nothing is off the table.
Primarily, we have light strike forces that strike teams that do tarping, minor roof repair, and then chainsaw work, clearing roadways, clearing trees off of houses and porches and that type of thing. Give everybody access in and out. A lot of times we have to clear the trees so the power company can come in and reestablish power and put lines up.
Watts tells us 15 people have volunteered so far, so they're in need of cash donations to help make their missions possible. You can donate at sheepdogia.org. We have new video evidence of the Israel-Hamas war's impact on civilians in Gaza. It was taken just after airstrikes killed at least 22 people overnight south of Gaza along its border with Egypt. You can see the desperate search for survivors, and Israel says it is targeting Hamas, but as Charlie Dagagata reports, survivors are desperate for help.
In the heavy bombardment reported across Gaza, our colleague Marwan Al-Ghul was lucky to survive another night. He went to the scene earlier this morning of this massive airstrike not more than 500 yards from his house. Officials say at least 10 people were killed. The recent surge in fighting has seen the number of civilian deaths skyrocket and anger soar. Anti-war protesters in the West Bank marched with a 40-foot banner with a growing list of fellow Palestinians killed in Gaza. The message is meant to reach the only nation capable of restraining Israel.
We are against the position of the United States of America while they use veto 2 times.
The U.S. and Israel maintains that a ceasefire would allow Hamas to regroup.
The people that are bombarded in Gaza are mainly the women and civilians and children, and these are not Hamas.
The U.S. has again urged Israel to put a premium on human life. Charlie D'Agata, CBS News, Ramallah in the West Bank.
Meanwhile, the White House says that if Congress doesn't act soon, then America would no longer be able to provide support for Ukraine in its fight against Russia. Now, in his 3rd trip to Washington since Russia invaded Ukraine, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky arrived on Capitol Hill, meeting with all U.S. senators. He's making a case before lawmakers to send more aid to his country.
He needs the aid quickly. If we don't give the aid quickly, several things will happen. First, the military needs, but second, Europe and many other allies will say, what is going on here? They're not giving them the aid.
Some Republicans have questioned whether another $60 billion in aid for Ukraine will actually help them win the war, as Congress has already authorized more than $75 billion in aid. In Washington County, efforts to improve voter turnout comes less than a week after the release of the Arkansas Civic Health Index, highlighting historically low participation rates that put Arkansas last among all 50 states in D.C. The report calls for efforts to reduce voting barriers, things like too few polling locations or transportation problems in rural areas. The director of elections in Fayetteville, Jennifer Price, says Washington County is opening 42 sites for the March primary. And something else they're working on, getting younger voters to cast a ballot.
Sometimes we see between 5 and 10% voter turnout, and that's definitely when we see that the younger voters aren't participating in those elections. So we encourage everyone to think of elections, no matter if it's a presidential election or if it's just a special election or a runoff election. Those elections are important.
The Pulaski County election website lists 13 early voting sites in a county that has more than 130 precincts. Well, in Little Rock, the future of Western Hills Elementary School is up in the air. 2 Little Rock City directors met with parents and educators last night. BJ Wyrick and Andrea Lewis and Superintendent Jamal Wright discussed concerns about the school possibly closing with a possible solution. Dr. Wright says the district is looking at allowing some current Western Hills students to attend the new Lacey K-8 Academy when it opens, but also create a center for autistic students from across the state in the Western Hills building.
My goal was to make sure that there was a demand for new students to our district with autism, and if we create an autism center, my staff believes, and I believe now after talking to some people within the city, that is a population of kids that we could actually generate more students.
Continuing discussions are planned for this week's school board meeting Thursday night, along with discussions on the future of the district's high schools. Meanwhile, in Pulaski County, a big project is now complete. A brand new solar array is up and running today. Pulaski County officials celebrated the launch of a new collection of multiple solar panels in the Little Rock Port Monday. It's the county's 2nd solar panel site, and now that both of them are up and running, they're going to supply the majority of power to the county's buildings. Pulaski County Judge Barry Hyde explained how the first location saves the county about $50,000 a year. He expects the new one in Little Rock's Industrial Park would add to the savings.
We're spending $250,000 a year less every year for the next 25 years by the use of solar power, sustainable, clean power.
Pulaski County and Today's Power have a 25-year contract to provide energy through the solar arrays, with the goal to renew and improve it when that deadline comes. And some big news in sports. Tonight, Kevin Kelly will be introduced as the new head coach of Sheridan football. The school board voted last night to approve the hire. He's returning to the high school level after coaching Presbyterian College to a 4-7 record. Now, Kelly is best known for his time at Pulaski Academy, which spanned from 2003 to 2020. During that time, he led the school to 9 state titles, including 6 of the 7 years from 2014 until 2020. The Yellow Jackets will introduce Kelly at their basketball game tonight. Well, coming up, finding a new pathway for old maps. We take a road trip with an artist, drawing inspiration from them, literally.
And in 5 minutes, I'll have your full 7-day outlook. Stay with us. We'll have more THV 11 at noon right after this break.